Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. So, I don't know how I missed the details and how I had been so blind as to not realize something going on with my own wife. But a couple of days ago, my wife did something completely out of the blue. And I'm just grateful for my dumb brain that it didn't listen to everything she said or did. Otherwise, I'll be in huge trouble right now. I have been struggling to cope with my reality at the moment, and this subreddit seemed like a good place to let everything out and take opinions on what anybody else would have done in my situation. So, for a few weeks now, my wife was extremely engrossed in her work and didn't even have time to sit and talk with me. Since it was the end of the business year, I thought that she was busy with clients and closing all the open deals. It wasn't really odd for me because I work in the corporate sector too, and I understand full well how annoying the end of year can be. That is why I didn't pick on my wife's odd behavior or her frequent important calls. But about 8 to 9 days ago, my wife started delving into our finances and checking everything we had. She asked me a couple of general questions about my bank account and how much money I'd saved. I also overheard her talking to my mother in law about her trust fund and when she'll be given full authority of it. Now, that was quite unusual for her since we both earn pretty good each month. I asked her what was going on and why she was suddenly worried about our finances. I told her if there's anything she needs, she can just ask me, and if there's a problem, she should tell me since I might be able to help her out. But she just shrugged off the topic and didn't say much. Her behavior and her casual take on the subject was starting to trouble me. I thought about keeping an eye on her for the time being because I was worried about her. But suddenly, she went back to being her normal self. She came back home after work on time for a few nights in a row and even suggested we hang out and spend some quality time together. I was happy to hear her sounding like her tension free self, so I didn't bother bringing up matters of the past for a few days. I just smiled and told her I was free the next day and we could make it a date. The next evening, when I came home, my wife was already in the living room. She looked a lot stressed and was pacing around the room. I asked her what's going on, and she looked shocked to see me there. She stared at me for a while before deciding on something. I told her that she was worrying me, and whatever it is, she should just say it. She said, of course, that she'll tell me everything. She told me that as my wife, I must trust her and not ask any questions which she isn't able to answer. She told me that she had been thinking hard for a while and had come to the conclusion that she needed my help. She asked me about my inheritance that I still hadn't acquired from my dad. I told her that the total amount is around $900,000. And I don't see any point in taking the money as it's not going anywhere and I earn enough to live a lavish life without taking my dad's money. Hearing this, she again started thinking about something, and when I prompted her to speak up, she told me that I should take out the inheritance immediately. I was shocked to hear that. Why would she suddenly ask that of me? What is going on with her? I made her sit down and asked her what was happening. I asked her if she needs money for something, and if yes, then how much. I assured her whatever it is that is wrong, that she can talk to me about it since I'm her husband and I'll be on her side. But she refused to talk at all. She said nothing is wrong, and if I really do love her, I wouldn't ask her all these questions and would take out the money like she asked of me. That got me a little annoyed because I had no idea what was going on, and suddenly my wife was asking me to take out my $900,000 inheritance and give it to her. I told her that I love her and trust her, but it goes the same way, and if she doesn't trust me enough to tell me her reasons, then I wouldn't take out the money. Instantly, her whole demeanor changed. She got angry and shoved me away. She told me that all I'm saying is words and I can't do anything for her. She then got up and left the room. After an hour or two, I tried going to our bedroom, but she had locked the door, so I had no choice but to sleep on the couch. The next morning, I woke up and decided to talk to her again. I went to the bedroom, but she wasn't there. I checked the whole house and couldn't find her. I thought she had left early for work. which was weird considering it was 7 a.m. at that time and her work doesn't start till 9. Then I noticed the things strewn around our bedroom and her stuff missing. I was confused and panicking. I didn't want to believe that my wife had left home. I tried calling her all day, but to no avail. I tried calling her workplace to know if she went in today, but she wasn't there. I was really distressed by the evening when I got a call and instantly answered thinking it was my wife, but turns out it was my mother-in-law. Her voice was panicked and she asked me why I kicked her daughter out of the house. I had no idea what she was talking about, so I asked her to calm down and tell me exactly what had happened. She told me that my wife went by her house that morning saying she and I got into a huge fight and I had asked her to leave me forever. She also said I kicked her out of the house and that she needed money to figure out her life from now on. My mother-in-law told me that my wife took away all the money from her trust fund, and since then, she hadn't been in contact. I didn't know what was happening here, but one thing was certain. My wife had just taken out money by lying to her own mom. She had disappeared without telling anyone why and where she was going, and that apparently she had left me. Now, I don't know who to blame at this point. I'm just glad I didn't give her $900,000 she asked me to take out for her. Since then, it's been a few days and there is still no contact with my wife. Neither me nor my in-laws are able to reach her, and I'm thinking of reporting the incident to the cops. I don't know if that would be a crappy move at this point, but I think it's pretty clear that my wife was the a-hole here for hiding stuff from me and leaving me without so much as a word. It's been almost 2 months since I posted about how my wife took off with some money and without telling anyone in my original post. Since then, I had made a report to the cops about her disappearing and stealing money from her own family. My mother-in-law went with me to back me up and provide details about the theft. About a month ago, the cops came by my house to tell me that they had found my wife. They asked me a couple of questions about her and told me if I want, I can visit her at the station. When I went to see her, she looked really different from the last time I saw her. I asked her what exactly happened and why did she do this to me. No matter how much I thought about her sudden disappearance, it just didn't make any sense. She smirked and told me I'm really naive. She said that it wasn't a sudden disappearance. She had left the state to go live with her boyfriend. She told me she has been in love with this person for about 2 years now and that finally she decided to quit her job and just leave. She needed more money than she had to ensure a peaceful life because the person she loved isn't capable of giving it to her, and that's why she asked me for money. But because I refused to give her money, she had no choice but to take out her own trust fund. Since her mom would never support her eloping with another man, she had to make up all those lies. When I heard her speak those words, a sudden rage came over me. I didn't even bother to hear the rest of her story and I just left. Now I have hired a pretty good lawyer and have pressed charges of adultery against my wife. I'm hoping to get a clean divorce and a decent settlement for the trouble she caused me. I'll update here once things have been finalized. Finally, after a month-long legal battle, I was able to put an end to my relationship. My ex-wife was sentenced to 8 months in prison and was charged a fine of $500 for cheating on her husband while being in a marriage. She would also be doing community service while serving her time and have to return the money she took from her parents. Our divorce was finalized and I was exempt from giving her alimony since she was the guilty party here and decided to leave me first. Even though things have been bad lately, I've started to move on from marriage and accept the fact that my life has changed. It was really hard in the beginning, but I've come to terms with my reality. I'm thinking of selling my current house and buying a new one since this one has a lot of bad memories. For now, I'm living with one of my bachelor friends and he has been the main support while I was going through everything. Hopefully, I'll be out of his hair soon. Even though I've come to terms with being cheated on and being divorced, I don't think I'm quite ready yet to date, but I also don't want to completely stop trusting people. So I'll wait a while and heal from this incident. NTA, you did the right thing by not blindly trusting your wife and giving her your whole inheritance. I think a lot of the time people in relationships keep forgetting that their significant others are also human. And just because you love them, it doesn't mean that they can't be swayed by human tendencies and do something wrong. NTA, man, I don't understand why people just don't communicate. If your wife had told you what was wrong in your relationship, it wouldn't have ended just like that. Two people need to realize that they have to work together to keep a bond growing. But sadly, most people forget about this very important fact. So before I start, let me just say that I'm into makeup and skin and hair care and spend time and money to look good and feel good. My husband, Reggie, 36, makes fun of it as usual, especially when I'm wearing long hair extensions or thick eyelashes to change my eye color. But it's fine when it's not done in front of others. He has, or had, a mustache that he takes good care of and a lot of pride in. The other day, before we visited his family, he accidentally shaved a part of it, which made him look funny. He freaked out, but decided to just shave it all off and wear a fake mustache. The way he's done looks so natural and real. We got to his mom's house, and then at the dinner table, mother in law complimented my new hairstyle. Reggie laughs sarcastically and says, "Huh, don't give her too much credit for it. She used extensions. That's not her real hair, it's fake." His mom raises her eyebrows, looking uncomfortable, but he proceeds to raise his voice and say, "What? You don't believe me? I can pull them and show you if you don't believe me." I was stunned, but kept my cool and say, "Oh, you mean just like your mustache here?" He denies and acts like he had no idea what I was talking about and goes, "I don't know what you mean by that," while awkwardly laughing. His family seemed reluctant to believe me, so in this very instant, I reached out to his mustache and removed it, which caused him to freak out and show it to everyone at the table. Everyone gets over the initial shock and starts laughing. He snatches the mustache and rushes to the bathroom. Literally, everyone was laughing at this, which made him 10 times more pissed. In about 5 minutes, he actually comes back wearing it and says, "We needed to go home." I get in the car and he explodes on me and goes hysterical, saying I embarrassed the daylights out of him by doing what I did at the table and making everyone laugh at him. He said I should have never, ever come near his mustache, much less touch it. I reminded him of how this all started, but he went on to say that his fake mustache was only a temporary solution till the real one grows back. But I wear hair extensions and eyelashes to make up for my lack of hair, which is an issue he's been putting up with for too long. I got quiet because I felt offended. He insisted that I went way too far, and after we got home, he stopped talking completely. Now, every time one of his family members calls, he refuses to respond, then says it's because of me he can't even speak to them due to sheer embarrassment and shame. NTA, he was perfectly fine when it was you being the butt of the jokes, but once it was his turn, he freaked out. From the sounds of it, he was using your hair and eyelashes to put you down and feel superior. Once that got flipped, he lost his control of the situation and you. I would personally keep an eye on how he reacts and if and when he retaliates for the embarrassment, karma you caused him. Again, NTA, and I'm proud that you stood up for yourself and fought fire with fire. NTA, your husband is obviously using double standards. If anything, his argument is the opposite of what he thinks it is because if somebody just using something temporarily, then they'll go back to being normal and they shouldn't worry about the temporary fix. Whereas you wear hair extensions all the time and it wouldn't be something you want people to know. Your husband is an a-hole. NTA, your lack of hair is an issue he has been putting up with for too long? Oh, no, no, no. Why does he feel the need to tear you down when you are complimented? Do not accept such disrespect and toxicity. He definitely can't take what he's dishing out. Unfortunately, you have the four horsemen of the apocalypse in your marriage. It is a metaphor to describe communication styles that can supposedly predict the end of a relationship: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling. My fiance, 32, female, and myself, 35, male, have been together for nearly 5 years. My fiance is currently 26 weeks pregnant with our little boy. My fiance has two little girls. The oldest, 7, female, is biologically my fiance's daughter. The youngest, 5, female, is biologically my fiance's niece, her sister's daughter. But my fiance has special guardianship of her, so makes all legal medical decisions. Important info. Both girls have the same last name as my fiance. I love both these girls with my whole heart. I would do literally anything for them. We are going to get married in about a month, 5 year anniversary. We are currently in the process of me adopting the 7-year-old and adding my name to the guardianship of the 5-year-old. Due to the legal issues surrounding the 5-year-old's case, we can't legally change her last name. Fiance and I talked, and I suggested that the simplest answer was for me to change my last name to the same name as my fiance. I don't want to double barrel my last name as I feel that this defeats the whole point. I want us all to share the same last name. This also means when the baby boy is born, he will be given my fiance's, by then mine as well, last name. My parents have always been, in my opinion, obsessed with carrying on our family name. I knew this decision would upset them. I know it's harsh, but my little ones mean more to me than my parents' obsession. I had to sit down and talk with them. Mom was crying, dad was angry, neither understanding my decision. They want us to change both girls' names to my current last name. Apparently, that was the obvious decision. Changing my name will obviously bring shame on our family. What will people think? I'll make my parents fodder for gossip. My fiance did suggest using my current last name as a baby boy's first name. I didn't even suggest this to my parents. My last name is all right, but would be a god awful first name. I'm not doing that to our son. My mom was demanding I talk sense into my fiance. Our conversation ended with me telling them I'm not interested in their tears, drama, or their opinion, and I won't allow them to talk to my fiance until they are less emotional. She's nearly 6 months pregnant. The last thing she needs is my parents shouting at her for a decision I made. AITA for how I spoke to my parents. AITA for changing my last name that means so much to them. NTA, you are protecting your partner, and it seems like your family is stuck in a sense of entitlement. The whole keeping the family name seems very dated in 2022. NTA, you're exactly the kind of person who should be a step parent. Congratulations on your upcoming marriage and your beautiful family. If you're interested in a compromise, you could always use your last name as your son's middle name. Many people choose to honor their maiden names by making them a child's middle name. At the very least, the legacy, not a fan of that concept, won't be fully lost in your parents' eyes. That said, you owe your parents nothing. Taking a partner's last name is nothing unusual. IMO, the focus shouldn't be on outdated gender norms, but rather the new grandchildren coming into their lives. Will they treat them differently because two aren't biologically yours? Will they make comments about your children's last name that makes your daughter uncomfortable? It's a slippery slope if they're pushing tradition this hard before you tie the knot. Good luck and thanks for putting your kids and fiance first. NTA, I love it when men change their last name too. My uncle did that since he had a boring last name. My aunt's and mine is super different. I also would never have hyphenated my husband's and my last name for our kids, but I will say I kept my maiden name and they have my husband's and there are no issues. So either way, you will all be fine, but I really like that you're standing up to your parents about this.